Here we are in episode 17 of the Simple Success Podcast. This is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. When you change you change everything. Last week we talked about your investments. This week the pod is about Robo-Advisors. What are they? Let's break it down. It's a combination of two words, robot and advisor. I'm going to assume that we know what a robot is, and I'm going to assume that we know what an advisor is. With luck, they'll know what investors are. And we'll know the difference between them and human advisors. The basics include the fact that we can get mutual funds, exchange-traded funds, stocks, bonds, real estate, crypto, and many more client assets and asset classes, just like with human financial planners. The key is, do we know what the combination is? Have we ever heard the term? And what do we think about it? We start with an advisor. This is someone who can help us understand, or demystify, as we often say, the investment market. When I do it, I like saying that I'm translating. I translate quite often, and so do many other people, even if they don't think of it that way. This is true in sales, software, and nearly every other area when we think about it. Now, a robot is somebody or someone or something which can do the same task as a person, in this case, a personal advisor. But because they're a robot, they can, at least in theory, work with any given asset longer, cheaper, and more consistently and reliably. They don't make human mistakes with things like rebalancing, tax loss harvesting, and other financial goals. From the consumer perspective, cheaper is a big driver, of course, but it can also be generational. Most of the greatest or silent generation either did not want to use their computers to invest or to access many other things. The baby boom generation began to trust these things and to use them to improve their performance. However, there is still some resistance. The younger generation, starting with Gen X, but most notably Gen Y or the millennials, have embraced this. In many activities of daily living, it's difficult to ask any millennial, my Spanish consultant notwithstanding, how to do a given task completely on their own without the help of a robot, without the help of a website, without the help of artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence, which is not the same thing. Among the largest robo-advisors that have sprung up in recent years are Betterment, Wealthfront, Personal Capital, Prosper, and of course E-Trade, on which we'll spend a minute in another episode. One, SoFi Automated Investing, focuses on paying off other people's student loans, which is kind of cool. And of course, one investment advisor which has come under a lot of recent scrutiny, Robinhood. Even traditional brokerages like Merrill Lynch and Charles Schwab are upending the industry, either inventing their own service or buying one. According to one Schwab commercial, having Schwab Intelligent Portfolios was the only way to go. I'm sure the same message was being put out for Vanguard personal advisor services, as well as others. They can all provide great investment advice, investment options, and some, though limited, investment recommendations. Many people, mostly younger people, which is why I mentioned millennials while hopefully not sounding like I'm picking on them, think of robo-advisors like this first when they think of investing. What we find in a typical robo-advisor is a website or a phone app or both, where you can invest using predefined rules, and you can set up those rules yourself. This is exactly what you would do with a live financial advisor or with a team of advisors as well. The only requirement there is that they and their team have to do their job correctly. Oh wait, also, you should know what you're doing, and there's a possibility that they don't know either. In contrast, a single robo-advisor would treat all of their customers exactly the same way, like the sophisticated investors we can all be. This can certainly lead to people thinking that it's a more level playing field, and that may be the case. It's just a different topic. And we'll get back to that story in just a minute. Hello everyone, this is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective, because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us. Please head over to https://anchor.fm/ Simple Success. That's one word, Simple Success / support. There, you can choose from a $9.99 per month doer level of support, a $4.99 listener level, or a basic intro level of just 99 cents per month. That's not much when you compare it to a stockbroker, right? And this is so much more sensible. To leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast, go to https://anchor.fm/ Simple Success, again, one word, Simple Success / message. I won't repeat those links because weird, and anyway, show notes. Once upon a time, our friend Sophie Stevens was considering what to do. Her choices were endless. She hunched forward over her computer and stared at all of the different options. Dozens of them, one on every browser tab. Here one investment choice, there another. She wasn't even aware of the gas-powered leaf blowers everywhere outside her home office. She was observing completely with her eyes to the extent that her ears weren't registering what she might normally consider routine sounds. One site offered the ability to automatically reallocate her funds on a regular basis to increase optimization a couple of times a year. Another offered more variations in financial products. She was playing with apples to apples comparisons after all. If that was available on another site, it wasn't clear and obvious. They seemed to be focused on expense ratios. Online access is important, but not instead of planning and personalized advice. The third site made a big deal of the market performance of online advisors versus traditional advisors. How is this a good use of my time, Sophie thought. Where were the unbiased reviews? Then came her epiphany. She didn't have to bank everything on one right answer from one robo-advisor and the investment products that they offered. She could diversify using the idea of a minimum deposit, and she realized that this would only further her investing goals. She could take a little bit of her investable assets, her hard-earned savings, and some of her extra cash and put it into one of them with a range of portfolios, but then a little bit more in another, and then a little bit more in yet another. As long as the total didn't exceed the plan or a comfortable financial situation, it was okay. It was okay if she split it up in multiple ways. In fact, I would encourage her and you to do so with a wide range of choices. Later, she could decide on a favorite and add to that one first. She was over the hump of finding advantages in the, air quotes, perfect one. Sophie got over the tendency that we all have to put off an action when we even suspect that the result might not be clear. She overcame what we must also overcome. And how we overcome this is right after the break. In this Simple Success podcast, as well as in our webinars and masterclasses, we are very, very much going to want to hear your story. Well, to be real, I mean in future episodes of the podcast's webinars and masterclasses. This means you. Your participation is critical to our mutual simple success. It's important to know how you think, what you've thought, what you've tried, and what you've been unsure of trying. As we told you at the beginning, and as you also find in the show notes, we have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know when that happens. Together, we're going to make it great. We're going to do what even we didn't think possible. We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. The reason every podcast asks you this is because when you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. This means better rankings, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And that means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Oh, and don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. Remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Right after this, we'll explore some more important details you should know. But for now, use your imagination to help create your story. Let's get on with how to overcome this kind of problem. What to do and when and how to do it. Robo-Advisors. What is our call to action this time? If it seems like I'm harping on this, it's because I am. From my experience, I know that this problem occurs over and over in lots of different areas. This does not just happen in financial investing. Maybe it's washing your car, maybe it's taking vitamins. There are many different possibilities, but they all have in common the requirement to build a habit. So we're going to overcome the problem by doing something about it. We're going to have a robo-advisor. No, we're going to have 2 robo-advisors. No, we're going to have 3 robo-advisors. Why did Bonnie Python just come to mind? Anyway, and that's a start. I mentioned one already in a previous podcast called Prosper. I'm not hawking that and I don't work for them. They are like a fund for lending. Of all the wealth management services, they are just one possibility though. I bring it up again simply because it's an easy one to deal with and it's relatively low risk. It's a great start. How to go about that involves going to their website and getting started. Spoiler alert in reverse, right? It involves not getting overly caught up and thinking that this is the only right answer or the only right way to reach financial goals or investment goals. It's not the only right answer. The more weight that you put on this one thing being the only right answer, the more you focus on one investment selection offering or one investment service, the more likely it is that you will not be happy with it. Being happy is the absolute most important thing you could ever do toward your happiness. Seems obvious. But this is a key element of your financial planning happiness, so focusing on it is the right thing to do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching Happiness. And everyone listening can head to that voice message link in the show notes to record a voice message for a future podcast. Next week, we're going to look at another concept, and that is the IPO, or Initial Public Offering. As before, that got picked for me by my topics randomizer, so you know I'm not prepackaging this stuff, but instead making it relevant so we can all, me included, learn how to do this right. We're going to bring that into the world of investing, and it's going to be a great episode. But for now, remember, happy International Marconi Day. All you need to do is practice, after which you'll get good. Gracias por escuchar. A la próxima. For this podcast, the host and audio guy is me, John C. Brandy. My seagull example, and I'll explain that later, Shola, Salako, fact checker, Abraham Lincoln, French consultant, Virginia Mitchell, media expert, Favour, Obasi-Ike, psychologist, Sigmund Freud, rabbit hole advisor, Dr. Marg, Perrott, sound designer, Gugliemo, Marconi, Spanish consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy, and videographer, Alfred, Hitchcock. Music credit, Cute, by Ben Sound from www.freesound.org.